Trouble didn't knock at the Copper Still Tavern that night. It burst through the door, laughing. Two teenage boys slid into a corner booth and pulled Kate Simpson down like she was furniture, not a person. The moment they yanked at her denim jacket, trying to strip it off her shoulders, the room shifted. The tray crashed. Drinks spilled. Kate froze. Eyes wide, breath stolen. But it wasn't the shove or the laughter or the hands gripping where they didn't belong that stopped the entire tavern cold. It was the bruise on her shoulder blade. Dark. Fresh. Unmistakable. The one she thought she'd hidden. The one Fernando Mendoza saw first. Wait, don't scroll yet. Please kindly hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, they don't show up on your feed by accident. Subscribe now, or you'll miss what happens when Fernando stands up. 3 seconds. Do it now. Thank you. The Copper Still Tavern sat on the edge of Cedar Ridge, Tennessee, the kind of place where people worked dawn to dusk and came for comfort, not chaos. Rustic wood beams stretched across the ceiling, warm amber lights glowed above worn leather booths, and the smell of sawdust and spilled beer hung in the air like an old friend. It was a Friday night, and the place hummed with quiet conversation, the clink of glasses, and the low drawl of country music threading through the noise. 24-year-old Kate Simpson moved between tables with practiced efficiency. Her vintage-style waitress uniform neat, her apron tied perfectly at her waist. Her dark hair was pulled back with bangs framing her face, and her smile, polite automatic, never quite reached her eyes. She'd perfected the art of being invisible, of being helpful without being noticed, of surviving a shift without incident. But peace wasn't what walked through those heavy oak doors that night. Two teenage boys, loud, reckless, feeding off each other's energy, shoved their way inside. Benny Torres, 17, all messy blonde hair and swagger, led the way. Behind him came Kelly Donovan, 16, dark-haired with sharp features and a smirk that made Kate's stomach tighten. They didn't look old enough to drink, but nobody paid attention at first. The bar was full, the music soft, and Kate was focused on balancing 3 plates and a pitcher of sweet tea. She approached their booth with caution, her voice polite but firm. "Evening, boys. Can I see some ID?" They laughed. Benny leaned back, arms stretched wide across the booth like he owned it. "Relax, sweetheart. We're just here for burgers." Kate didn't like his tone. Didn't like the way Kelly's eyes tracked her movements, cold and calculating. But she stayed professional. "I still need to see ID if you're planning to order anything alcoholic. House rules." Benny rolled his eyes. "We said burgers, didn't we?" "Then we're all set." Kate forced a smile, pulling out her notepad. "What can I get you?" Before she could write anything down, Benny reached out and grabbed her wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to hold. "You're cute when you're all serious like that." Kate's heart slammed against her ribs. She tried to pull back gently, keeping her voice calm. "Please let go." Kelly's smirk widened. He pulled out his phone, angling it toward her. "Yeah, Benny. Let the lady work." But Benny didn't let go. Instead, he tugged her closer, his other hand reaching for the collar of her denim jacket. "What's with the coat? You cold or something?" Kate's breath hitched. Please. Come on, take it off. You're working." Benny yanked at the sleeve. "Stop." Kate tried to twist away. But Kelly blocked her path, sliding out of the booth to stand behind her. She was trapped. And then Benny pulled harder. The jacket slipped down her shoulder. Kate stumbled backward, her tray clattering to the floor. Glasses shattered. Ice scattered across the wood planks. The entire tavern fell silent. But it wasn't the crash that froze everyone. It wasn't the shove. It wasn't even the laughter from the boys. It was what the man in the corner booth saw when Kate scrambled to stand, her uniform sleeve sliding down her arm. A dark, fresh bruise, purple-black, spreading across her left shoulder blade like a stain she couldn't scrub away. Kate gasped and immediately yanked the jacket back up, her face flushing with shame. "I'm sorry, it's nothing. Her voice cracked. "Please. Just stop." The boys froze for half a second, uncertain. Then Benny grinned again. "Whoa, relax. We were just messing around." A chair screeched across the floor. Fernando Mendoza, Fern to the regulars, stood up. He was a big man, broad-shouldered, tattooed arms covered in ink that told stories he never spoke aloud. A scar cut through one eyebrow, and his hands, weathered from years of construction work, hung loose at his sides. He'd been sitting in his usual corner booth, barely speaking all night. Most people knew Fern. Few had ever heard him raise his voice. He walked toward the boys with a calmness more terrifying than anger. No hurry, no shouting, just slow, deliberate steps. Benny and Kelly both straightened, suddenly aware that the room had shifted. Fern stopped a few feet away. His voice, when it came, was low and steady. "You boys think you're tough?" They swallowed. Hard. Fern didn't wait for an answer. He knelt beside Kate first, gently helping her gather the broken glasses, his movements careful, respectful. "You okay?" Kate nodded, fighting tears. "It's nothing. I fell yesterday. I'm clumsy." But the room knew better. Fern stood slowly, his eyes never leaving the boys. "You don't touch people." His voice was quiet, but it carried. "You don't scare people. Not in this bar. Not in this town." The boys backed up, mumbling excuses. "We didn't mean." "You meant it." Fern stepped forward. "And now you're leaving." Kelly held up his phone, still recording. "Dude, chill. We were just." Fern's boot came down on the phone. The screen cracked. The recording stopped. "You're leaving," Fern repeated. And then the entire bar began to move. One by one, the regulars stood. Men in flannel and work boots. Women with calloused hands and sharp eyes. Old-timers who'd spent decades in this town. They stepped forward, forming a silent wall behind Fern. The boys' bravado crumbled. Benny grabbed Kelly's arm. "Let's go." They bolted for the door, slamming it behind them. The bell above the entrance jingled once, then went still. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Fern turned back to Kate. He picked up her denim jacket from the floor and draped it gently over her shoulders, his voice soft. "You're safe here." Kate's lip trembled. She nodded, unable to speak. The Copper Still Tavern didn't erupt in cheers or applause. That wasn't how Cedar Ridge worked. Instead, the regulars moved with quiet purpose, reclaiming the warmth that had been stolen. Someone swept up the broken glass. Another regular picked up Kate's tray and set it on the bar. The bartender, a grizzled man named Earl with a salt and pepper beard, poured Kate a cup of hot tea without asking. "Sit," he said gently. "We got this." Kate shook her head, her hands still trembling. I have tables." "Not tonight, you don't." A woman named Margot, a regular who worked at the hardware store, took the tray from Earl. "We'll cover you, honey." And they did. For the rest of the night, Kate didn't lift a finger. The regulars divided her tables among themselves, taking orders, delivering plates, refilling drinks. Margot joked with customers. A man named Hank, who rarely smiled, carried a tray like he'd been doing it his whole life. Even the grumpiest old-timer, a man everyone called Pops, stood behind the bar, helping Earl pour beers. Kate sat in Fern's usual booth, the hot tea cradling warmth into her cold hands. Fern sat across from her, silent. He didn't ask questions. Didn't pry. He just stayed. After a long while, Kate whispered, "I'm sorry." Fern's brow furrowed. For what? For causing a scene. Her voice broke. For letting them. "Stop." Fern's voice was firm but not harsh. "You didn't cause anything. They did." Kate's eyes filled with tears. "I thought I could hide it. I thought if I just kept my head down, nobody would." "We see you, Kate." Fern's voice softened. "We always have." Kate looked around the tavern. At Margot laughing with a customer. At Hank delivering a plate with surprising care. At Earl pouring another round. At Pop's grumbling, but smiling despite himself. And she realized something she'd never let herself believe before. She wasn't alone. She wasn't invisible. And for the first time in years, she didn't have to be. When the night finally ended and the last customer filtered out, Earl locked the door and turned to Kate. "You need a ride home?" Kate shook her head. "I'm okay." "You sure?" Margot asked, pulling on her coat. "I'm sure." Kate stood, her jacket wrapped tight around her shoulders. "Thank you. All of you." Fern walked her to the door. Before she stepped outside, he said quietly, "You ever need anything, you call me. Understand?" Kate nodded, her throat tight. As she walked into the cool Tennessee night, she glanced back at the Copper Still Tavern. The lights still glowed warm through the windows. The people inside, her people, were cleaning up, laughing softly, reclaiming their sanctuary. And Kate realized something else. Some bruises fade. Some don't. And some start a quiet war in a small town that never forgets who it belongs to. The boys never came back. But Kate did. Every single shift after that, she walked through those doors knowing one thing for certain. She was seen. She was protected. And she would never stand alone again. You just watched a town change in one night. Now it's your turn. Hit the subscribe button. Not tomorrow. Not later. Right now, please. Because if this story hit you, the next one will too, but only if you're subscribed. Don't be the person who watches and disappears. Be the person who shows up. Hit subscribe. Turn notifications on. Let's build something here. Thank you.